it is.
Okay, thank you so much all for your patience waiting. And uh, my name is Maiga Ayub Hussein, and I hold a bachelor's of nursing. That is undergrad. Currently, I'm pursuing my PhD, and I also hold a master's of epidemiology from University of Diponegoro, and I've also done an advanced diploma in health service management from that is from Uganda. And currently, I'm running as the director for Nexus Center for Research and Innovation. And that is the same team that is leading this presentation. So for today, we would like to discuss a multidisciplinary system review, a systematic review training. And as been informed before, we shall be holding these sessions every Sunday, same time. So endeavor to attend. So briefly, we shall know what is a systematic review, what are the different reviews, what is the process, what are the processes of systematic review, and also the principles of systematic review. And going forward, we shall get into the details of those steps that we are going to talk about today briefly. So today is an introduction. So millions of papers of articles have been are being published every year, around 3 million plus. And this makes it really impossible for researchers to read all of them. Okay, so there is a lot of fragmented evidence out there in thousands on databases and journals. And as a researcher, you need this one paper that summarizes all these findings, and that is what you call a systematic review. So it is a structured, transparent, and reproducible method of identifying, evaluating, and synthesizing evidence. But for a systematic review, we use a predefined method, and that is why before you actually start it, you need to have a protocol developed. This is a pre-planned methodology of how you are going to actually conduct your systematic review. It comprises of your search terms, your research question, your eligibility criteria, what papers will you include, what papers will you exclude, how are you going to analyze the quality of these papers, and how are you going to extract the data, how are you going to analyze it, and how are you going to present it. So that is what we mean by having a predefined criteria and in a systematic review. It should be really transparent that whatever step you take, you have to it should be very well documented with the rationale to why you're actually taking that path and not the other. It should be reproducible in a manner that if I carry out the same procedure that the same steps you've taken, I should be able to actually have maybe a similar number of the articles that you actually found out in a specified database. Okay, so that is what we mean by reproducible. I should be able to follow the same pattern and almost get. It may not be the same result, but it should be very close to that result, or nearly the same. So the principles I've discussed this already in that statement, that it should be transparent. That is the principle of a systematic review. In the methods and the decisions you take, they should be transparent, reproducible in a manner that I should be able to take the same steps, same methodology, and then come up with the same results. Bias reduction, you should be able to assess the quality of the articles that you're going to include. So there is bias reduction in systematic review as a principle, comprehensive in such a manner that whatever article that really talks about the question, the research question, should be extracted out. You should be able to identify almost all the papers that talk about your research question. So those are some of the principles. And our results at the last one, which is it should be standardized, or there should be a standardized format of reporting. So in this manner, we use we prefer using the Prisma reporting item, which is a Prisma reporting item for systematic reviews and meta-analysis. So it is a guideline that gives you a crew. It gives you an elaboration and a detailed content that you have to really include in your systematic review. So we have a Prisma P for protocol. We have also Prisma for reporting your systematic review. So we have different reviews. We have a narrative review, systematic review, scoping review, rapid review, meta analysis, and an umbrella review. So for this time, we are going to really concentrate on systematic review, but it's also nice that we also understand what a narrative review is, which is just a broad descriptive overview of a topic, often shaped by the author's perspective. So the example I can give you is like in just a layman, you go to a neighborhood and you just move into this neighborhood and you just move around, see how houses are. You're not commenting about the quality of the houses, but you perhaps looking around, seeing how these houses are structured in that area. Okay, so that is how a narrative review is. Dive into this pool of many articles, then descriptively tell us about those articles without giving a lot of so you tell the author tells his perspective. Okay, I read this article and this is what I found. This is what I found out. So there is a lot of potential selection bias, and that is in terms of the limitations. However, its strength is that it is a flexible, really approach. So we have a scooping review, which is mapping the literature on a topic. So you identify gaps and opportunities within these different write-ups. So the example that I try to put on this side is like mapping the landscape of artificial intelligence application in medical diagnosis. So for a scoping review, you get through these databases, and then you have a very broad question on mapping the landscape. How has artificial intelligence perhaps in medical diagnosis, what applications are there? How is the transition been from this year to this year? So that is how a scoping review really is. And then a meta-analysis is a statistical method used within a systematic review to combine quantitative findings from multiple studies. So for a meta-analysis, the word usually meta, I think, comes from something to do maybe with mathematics. So when you do a systematic review, maybe give an example of you pull the different reported prevalences or incidences from these different papers, and then you merge them together. You come up with one prevalence or you come up with one incidence after merging all these together. So that is what we call a meta-analysis. It is quantitative in nature. You combine statistics of paper one, paper two, paper three, and then you formulate one statistical figure from those papers. So that is what we call a meta-analysis. So a rapid review, from the word rapid, it is more like a systematic review, but this time around, the time is very shortened because of its emergency. So that is what we call a rapid review. An umbrella review is a review of reviews, where you have now, instead of where a systematic review, you go for individual articles, for an umbrella review, you pick the systematic reviews and you review them. So that's why it's called a review of reviews. I hope now you could really tell the difference within amongst all those kind of reviews. So as discussed earlier on, our focus is on systematic review. So what are the steps of conducting a systematic review? First is you formulate a research question, okay, that is very smart, that is fitting into the PICOS framework or the SPIDER framework. So you then develop a protocol this, which is a predefined plan on how you're going to actually conduct this systematic review. After that, then you can go into your literature search. However, in some disciplines, the protocol should be registered, like maybe in the medical. And in some fields, in social science, I think the protocols may not be registered or published prior to conducting literature search. Then you screen for the study's eligibility, which study meets the eligibility criteria, which study do you feel, or did you, you should have told us earlier on in the protocol that I'll include studies maybe within this year using studies in this language. So under the screening, the studies that don't meet that criteria that you actually told, you talked about in your protocol, you eliminate them. Okay, and at a certain level, after the studies that met your criteria, when you're going to eliminate them, you give us a reason to why you're eliminating them. Okay, so it is more of a funnel, but tilted. It's like a pyramid, but this time the pyramid is not facing up but facing down. So you come from broad going down, narrowing down to what papers really are going to be included in your review. So from there, assess the screening, you do data extraction. So you pick out the different data components that are actually speaking to your research question or the objectives of your study. Then assess the quality of these papers, because different papers have different quality, perhaps depending on the methodologies they used, the sample sizes they considered. And then the seventh kind of a step is evidence synthesis. So you gather all this evidence, all this information, and then you synthesize it, you make meaning out of it, and then you report the results, depending whether you want it as a table, as graphs, as merged together in form of a meta-analysis. So that will be also dependent on your predefined criteria in the protocol. So while we are formulating the research question, there are frameworks that really consider to see that our question fits into these frameworks. It should be able to fit in this framework for us to be having a very smart research question that is specific, not very broad, because we really need something very, very broad. Because if it's very broad, then it won't communicate good sense. If maybe you want to study something that is in Africa, it may not be maybe it is not ideal that you collect all this data from the globe. So it would be very nice that you concentrate on that maybe country or continent or subdivisions, low, middle income country, high income country. So that is what these PICOs or these frameworks help you with. They help you to structure a question that is focused, that is smart. So we usually use the PICOS, which is population intervention comparison. Usually at some time the intervention, the I is replaced with exposure, comparison, and then the outcome. And then social sciences, they use the spider. So whichever that you prefer, you can use it to formulate your research question or formulate your focus for your systematic review. The example in this other arm that I gave where I used the PICOS is in adults with diabetes type 2, so that is the population, does metformin, so that is the intervention, compared to the placebo, so that is the comparator reduced cardiovascular event, which is now the outcome. So this question right here is smart, is specific to a population, to the intervention, to also the outcome. So that's what the PICOS frameworks help you to with. So protocol registration, as I've told you earlier on, for health science, you have to register and then publish your protocol before starting data extraction. So this improves on transparency, okay? Because the protocol, after publishing, you actually get to know whether there is somebody perhaps doing the same systematic review, or it has already been done, or it's ongoing, so that you don't waste time doing the same thing. So you can jump onto the other group that is might be carrying out the same systematic review. The other thing where we actually register, you're able to demonstrate methodological rigor, okay? And you also prevent duplication. If somebody is doing it, then why would you also do the same study, okay? So one of the platforms that we usually register such reviews is the Prospero, okay? So that is registration. So what is the key take homes for today's discussion? So for today's discussion, a smart review uses structured, transparent methods to synthesize research evidence. So you need to have a predefined protocol that stipulates all the stages that you are going to actually follow while you're doing this whole data extraction, uh, extraction of the data, how you're going to assess the quality, how you're going to synthesize and report this data should be very well elaborated. In terms of transparency, in case you have any changes, whether it is the search term, whether it is the population of interest, you need to be transparent to tell us that, you know what, I think this population that I considered earlier on does not really cover the gap that I want. I'm going to maybe broaden it or I need to narrow it down. So that is the transparency that we are talking about, that you really should also, it should be a take home for you. So different review types serve different purposes. The narrative review serves a different purpose. Schematic review, scoping review. Rapid reviews are usually used for emergencies. Give an example of like COVID and we need a vaccine. So you dive into the literature and find out which papers can really communicate very well about the different remedies that are being used to treat maybe viral or epidemics. So very quick, you need that answer. So that is a rapid analysis. And the meta-analysis, as communicated earlier, is you merge these incidences. You remember, keeping at the back of your mind that is some papers present with different limitations, okay? They don't have the same quality. So when we merge these different statistics, we are able to get something that is relatively strong that we can rely on statistically. If I pull the different incidences of different papers, I can be able to rely on this newly generated incidence and a meta-analysis that combined some weak and strong papers than relying on one paper that has maybe weak statistic. So that is also one thing to take home, that different reviews have different purposes. So methodological rigor requires a predefined protocol, comprehensive search, and quality appraisal. So if you really want to show, to express that, you know, your work is methodologically grounded and reliable, okay, you should be having a predefined protocol and you should have done comprehensive search. You should have not left out papers that actually address the same topic, and you should also have assessed the quality and appraised these papers in terms of quality. So basically, those are some of the items that I would like you people to really take home. Then systematic reviews are really essential for evidence-based research, policy, and clinical practice, and that is one of the reasons, actually the major reasons why we do systematic review, to come up with that evidence that can really communicate, can inform practice, policy. That is the reason to why we do systematic review, because if you really merge all these papers, if you understand the content, you'll be able to structure a policy that is very well informed from different authors than relying onto one paper, and then you deduce that perhaps we are going to implement this, we are going to pass this law. So the systematic reviews help you in summarizing this whole evidence into one paper that you can rely on to inform policy or clinical practice. So those are the key take homes for today, okay? And I think that was my last slide. Yes. So that is my last slide. I don't know whether Mr. Godfrey has been able to generate a Google Meet
Yes,
for us.
yes, it's on. It's available.
Is it available in the group? Okay, thank you so much. I think let's join in. For those who have questions, let's join into the group and then let's have the Google Meet. Let's join in there and then we have the discussion go on for the next less than 30 or 30 minutes. Thank you all for listening. I call off this meeting right now. My contact? My contact, you can go to the group. I think yes. Yeah, let's go to the Google Meet.
Prof. Sayu.
Mr. Godfrey, we are still listening your background and we don't really need it.
Prof. Sayu, Victor. Hello?
The next session is going to Mr. Godfrey, kindly share the link.
It's shared on the main platform.
I hope all of you are on the main platform. Thank you. I call this off. Let's go there. Mr. Godfrey, can you okay, let me share the link. It's okay. Let me get it. For those who are still on, let me pick up the link and share it with you.
Okay.
Okay, link has been shared. But at the same time, you need to follow the group because that's where all the communication is going on. Okay. So you need to be in the group. Unless otherwise, but we don't have an excuse for that. So for those who aren't in the group, you'll really miss out. So for those who aren't in the group, you can scan that barcode right there, and then you can join into the Nexus group. But as for now, we are going into the Q&A, into the Google Meet. This shall be posted on the YouTube. Thank you.